Hello and good evening to everybody. We are now in this third edition of the Congress of the European Network of Family-Friendly Municipalities. I want to say a warm welcome to all the participants, all the people who is watching this Congress through YouTube live now. And all the participants that you can send your comments or your questions during the Congress all the time using the comment section on YouTube. And then we are going to start. The motto, the title of the Congress, this edition is Breaking Barriers, Local Family Policies for Young People's Future. We are in this year of the youth people in Europe, and I think it's very interesting how to work to have a future for our young people, because we find a lot of barriers to emancipate, to start a family, having children. And this topic now, I think it's a priority for most of our governments, not only in Europe, because we have people registered also from America, from Asia, because the difficulties, I think we are living the same difficulties in the same model of society we are living in our Western world. Then I would like to welcome first to the floor the president of the European Large Families Confederation, which is the engine, the promoter of this European network of family-friendly municipalities, Regina Maroncelli from Bergamo, Italy. Buongiorno, Regina.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Raul, for the welcoming. I would like to welcome our guests, our viewers. I'm very sorry this Congress should have been taken place in Brussels, but unfortunately we were told that a strike was going on, so we had to change our program. But I hope this Congress will give good ideas to our attendees. Yes, we started from the idea that we have to talk about young people. It is the year of the youth, of course, but as large families, we are very concerned, of course, about the future of our children. Maybe because we have more is a statistic problem. Actually, children of large families are those that are, as the reported, easier out of the house. They began their life, their autonomy earlier than other children from other family units. But still, we see that, especially here in Europe, we are experiencing a lot of new phenomena. We have large areas depopulating with the aging of population, very low birth rates, as you well know. We see that we have a strong phenomena of brain drain. Just to say, my children out of 4, 2 were abroad 3 months ago. So it is important to understand this phenomena and where it is good that they can put roots. So we addressed this topic about breaking barriers and trying to understand what is the difficulties, especially at local level, for a young person to build its future and have a family, maybe with the children, maybe. In Europe, we have a very big number of NEET, not involved in studies or education. It's a very high share of 13.1% of young people from 15 to 29. In Italy, it goes up to 23%. So I hope the connection is staying. But the situation is very bad. It was addressed recently in the European Week of Region. They are starting to ask themselves what is making a local territory attractive for young people. But this is exactly the aim of the network, of the municipalities that joined the network, to be attractive not only to young people, but to young families, and to create a place where, an environment where a family can have its roots, have its future, have its children, giving a future to the community and the local territory itself. So we have been working on this. We have seen that it's not very easy to find good family policies to help, to support young people in the transition to adulthood. We are talking about some of the few and, of course, the best policies that are in Europe now. So I hope you will get some good hints. The idea is that if a local territory is family-friendly, it becomes attractive and it helps children to develop their life projects. So this is our aim as a network. This is our challenge, and we will hear from young people also what they need, so very first hand. I hope that it will be useful not only for the municipalities that are already following us, but for those who want to implement family policies addressed to this issue. And of course to the European Commission, the European politics, so that they start to take good care of this fundamental topic. Thank you very much, and enjoy this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Regina. And there is a place in Brussels which is a very good observatory to know the situation of young people in all the countries of Europe from different areas of society. This institution is the European Economic and Social Committee, and Kinga is a member of this observatory representing a large families association, the Hungarian Large Families Association. And Kinga is there from many years ago, and I think well, you can say many things to focus, to put the focus on in the context, the framework of this Congress. Welcome, Kinga, Jonapod Kivanok, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Raul, very much for this very kind invitation and for the possibility of being here and greeting you all. I am happy to welcome as well all the participants at this online event, the third Congress of the European Network of Family-Friendly Municipalities, on behalf of the European Economic and Social Committee, as it has been mentioned. The committee has granted an online partnership for this event as the topic of the Congress and the aims of ELFAC, being a European civil society organization representing the interests of large families, are linking up well with the mission of the committee. In one short sentence, let me explain the role of our committee for those who are a bit less familiar with our work. It is a representative body on EU level of employers' organizations, trade unions, and other organized civil society interests, advising the union policy-making bodies. The committee and we as members are actively engaged in the European Year of Youth, primarily via our coordination group that received a mandate to strengthen cooperation with youth organizations and young people during, but also beyond the European year. In this line, cooperation was encouraged with civil society organizations to ensure a better cross-cutting integration of young people in their activities, just like we are doing today with this event. What has been pointed out numerous times during this European year, and what I personally learned working with young people in the last 12 or so years, And also what I had emphasized as a young person some time ago, having a youth activist background myself, is that it is essential that young people have a say in formulating today's and tomorrow's policies. To present a concrete example from our work, I'd like to refer to our high visibility event, the European Citizens Initiative Day. The Citizens Initiative is the cross-border instrument through which citizens can directly express their will on EU policies or initiate new EU-wide legislation. It celebrated its 10th anniversary this year, and in the session entitled A European Citizens Initiative for the Next Generation, the lively debate touched upon the question of how to encourage the younger generations to make use of this powerful European tool. Some of the suggestions included, for example, the lowering of the age of support to 16 years, or the creation of special Erasmus Plus projects for youth on how to use this participatory instrument to influence the policies that ultimately impact them and even their children. I am sure we will hear many other good practices from the next speakers presenting European programs and member state level or municipal level support schemes. As a last point, I'd like to express my full appreciation for the mission and vision of this event, the multi-generational approach, policies that support families, parents, and children, strengthen communities where young people can reach their full potential. I believe that this multi-generational approach also facilitates transition into adulthood and enables the fulfillment of young people's personal and professional goals, including family formation, as it has been already mentioned by the president of ELFAC, for the next generations of young Europeans. I am looking forward to all contributions, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Kinga, Kosonom Sipan. And now we have the honor to have a representative of the European Commission, Pablo Cornide, which is a policy officer at the Unit of Future of Work and Youth Employment of the DG, the General Direction of Employment, Social Affairs and Inclusion of the European Commission. Thank you, Pablo, to be with us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Raul, and welcome to everybody who is joining online. Today I would like to emphasize that we will soon be celebrating the 5th anniversary of the proclamation of the European Pillar of Social Rights. And as we saw during the pandemic, and now with the energy and cost of living crisis, a strong social Europe remain as important as ever, including, of course, for families and for young people. For those of you that are less familiar with the pillar sets out 20 key principles and rights that we believe are essential for fair and well-functioning labor markets and welfare systems in the 21st century. It's structured around 3 chapters: equal opportunities and access to labor market, fair working conditions, and social protection and inclusion. We have also an action plan where these principles are turned into concrete actions to benefit citizens. It sets the EU's ambition for a strong social Europe that focuses on jobs, on skills, and social inclusion, and includes for the first time 3 EU-level targets to be achieved by 2030. Which are that at least 78% of people aged 20 to 64 should be in employment, and here we also have a sub-target on the reducing the number of young people not in employment, education, and training. At least 60% of all adults should participate in training every year, and the number of people at risk of poverty and social exclusion should be reduced by at least 50 million, and that includes also at least 5 million children compared to 2019. We know that many people are worried about their jobs and their future right now, And this is why the Commission believes that we need to put a strong focus on quality jobs, on skills, and on adequate social protections to those that are in need, to pave the way for a fairer and more inclusive future and prepare for a just transition to greening and more digital economies. The Commission has delivered concrete initiative on almost all the principles of the pillar. Some examples is the European Skills Agenda, the Gender Equality Strategy, the Youth Employment Support Package, the Directive on Adequate Minimum Wages, a directive on pay transparency, a strategy for the right of persons with disabilities, a child guarantee, and working conditions for people working in digital platforms, an action plan for social economy. It's a long list. Between 2019 and 2022, the Commission successfully put forward 73 initiatives. We have now announced 14 new initiatives, and 14 initiatives are also ongoing. So our priority, as you can see, remains delivering on the implementation of the pillar, support member states in reaching the 2030 targets, and ensure, as I also mentioned, I already mentioned, a socially fair twin transition, the digital and the green transitions. We believe we are on track to deliver on what we have announced in the pillar. In September alone, we delivered two important proposals: the European Care Strategy, including long-term care, and minimum income. The European Care Strategy proposes a lifelong approach and holistic approach that starts with early childhood education and care, and supports also long-term care systems in aging societies such as ours in Western Europe. We also have the proposed recommendation on adequate minimum income to support member states in ensuring that people that lack sufficient financial resources receive adequate minimum income support and services that enable them to lead a life in dignity, independently of their labor market situation. And in October, I mentioned already, the directive on adequate minimum wages was also adopted. Still this year, we will have a number of reports on the first EU report on access to essential services, a report on access to social protection, the report from the high-level working group on the future of social protection and welfare state in the EU. And for next year, we have 5 initiatives: the European Year of Skills, after this European Year of Youth, an initiative on a reinforced quality frame for traineeship, a recommendation on social economy, an initiative on the European Social Security Pass, and an initiative on a European disability card. But of course, we still face quite a number of challenges. Prior to the invasion of Ukraine, social indicators mainly flag positive changes. That was thanks to the contribution of social protection and social inclusion systems in member states that cushioned the income fall during the pandemic, and also to the thanks to the positive impact of the recovery. But the at risk of poverty and social exclusion rate for children remains higher than the rate for the general population. It's still a challenge. Children growing up in poverty or social exclusion, we know that are less likely to do well in school, to enjoy good health, and to realize their full potential later in life. And also, young people in general were strongly impacted by the pandemic and are generally less well covered by social protection system. The socioeconomic impacts on young people were substantial. Many young people were dismissed, could not enter the labor market, or they could not continue education and training. We have seen that until now, youth employment has quickly recovered, and the most recent unemployment figures are still below pre-pandemic levels. But we have two key challenges in our view that require joint action. Of course, the soaring energy prices, that if we don't they are not addressed, they risk pushing many households into a precarious situation, especially true for lower income families. And second, the coverage and adequacy of social safety nets, in particular minimum income, which remain very important in this volatile environment. But on the right side, we already have some existing measures and proposals. I've mentioned already the European Child Guarantee. Now all member states are working with the Commission on the preparation of their implementation plans. The child guarantee recommends that member states introduce measures that ensure that every child in Europe at risk of poverty or social exclusion has the right to effective and free access to services, for example, education, school meals, healthcare, housing. And also in response to the recession that was triggered by the pandemic, the Commission put together a package of initiatives that included a reinforced youth guarantee. And the youth guarantee remains our reference framework to fight unemployment and inactivity. Through the reinforced youth guarantee, we want to have more and better school to work transitions, more activation of the more vulnerable, more upskilling and reskilling, and better post-placement support after receiving offers and better integrated services. This will be done, of course, with help from the European funds. And we have some progress. There is some progress in implementation in member states. There are still also challenges on some areas. We don't have time now to go in detail, but I think the important thing to consider together with our work next year on the quality traineeships and on the implementation of the child guarantee is that we will follow up on the pillar. We will follow up on the European Year of Youth and also on the proposals arising from the Conference of the Future of Europe. And the fact that social Europe remains, as I mentioned at the beginning, as important as ever for families, in particular for families whose members are more vulnerable to the current crisis, the energy crisis and the cost of living crisis. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pablo. A lot of objectives, a lot of work to do, and very important to know all this work from European Commission for local municipalities, because these objectives has to be achieved working together from the local territory. Thank you very much, Pablo. And now we are entering in the first section deeply to the topic of this Congress, which is what young people really need. And we are going to start to know new policies that they are trying to find an answer to the needs of these young people in Poland. One of the countries who has one of the few countries to have a plenipotentiary for demographic policy for the whole country, with the rank of Undersecretary of State at the Ministry of Family and Social Policy, Barbara Socha. Dzień dobry. Dziękuję bardzo to be with us. And we are really interested to know what policies are doing Poland to help young families.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to this very important and very interesting conference. If you let me, I will directly go to the subject of my short speech, and I want to share with you the most important instruments, the most important policies that the Polish government in cooperation with local municipalities is preparing and providing to families in Poland, of course, with the most attention given to the young families, as they are our future, simply. So just to start, I will share with you the most important instruments. The first I would like to start with are the general transfers to the family policies, because Poland, as all the countries throughout Europe, have problems with the low fertility rates and depopulation, with aging society. And one of the key problem in Poland a few years ago, before our government started ruling in Poland, was the poverty, especially poverty among the young families and families with children. So the first policies, the first measures that were taken by the government since 2015 were the direct transfers to the families with children. So maybe you know, maybe you have heard of the Family 500 Plus program, which is the program designed to help families with children with cash benefits in the amount of 500 Polish zlotys per month per every child up to 18 years old. This program has generally transformed the situation in Poland in terms of poverty. We are now one of the in the countries with one of the lowest poverty among children in Europe. And this program is already in place for more than 6 years, so it really changed the situation of the families with children, especially of big families with children. Another example of this policy is a Good Start program with one cash benefit at the beginning of each school year for every school child. So it's designed to help the families with children attending the schools. This is the cash benefit of 300 Polish zlotys additional once a year when this school year starts. Another example of this policies is the large family card. It's the program of cards that are designed for the large families. So with the families with at least 3 children, to obtain different kind of discounts or generally discounts for when purchasing goods, services throughout Poland. We have now more than 10,000 partners all over the country, with more than 30,000 branches open for large families, and it's a kind of special loyalty program when talking about the from the our partners' perspective. So these are mainly the transfers. We have one new that was introduced this year, beginning of this year. It's called Family Care Capital. It's a little bit similar to the transfer that is in the Czech Republic, and it's dedicated to parents with young children during the 2nd and 3rd year of life. So after the maternity leave is finished, mothers can get, families can get this additional transfer to help them provide the childcare for their children. It's not dependent on the income of the family, and it's not dependent on the form of the child. So the families can flexibly choose between all the types, all the kinds of the childcare for their children. Of course, we as a country, as a government, work very hard to provide better and better services for the parents, for young parents. I mean, first of all, the development of the institutional childcare in Poland. We have now more than 200,000 places in the institutional childcare, in the nurseries, children's clubs, and daycare providers. We still develop this policy, hoping for also using the European funds to do that. We have quite a big share of children already in the institutional childcare, especially in big cities, but we also work to develop it in other parts of the countries. Although, as I mentioned, we want to make the system flexible for all the families, not only the families who prefer this kind of childcare. What's very important for young people is also the housing policy. We have relatively big problems with housing policy comparing to other European countries, so we still have a lot work to do. Of course, now the situation is much more complex and difficult due to the Russian invasion in Ukraine and the inflation that is connected to this problem. However, I personally hope that this situation will change quite soon, and we will be back into a kind of normal situation where we prepare the new programs for young families to get their own flat or house, which is very important for the families in Poland. We have proposed the program called Loan for Young Families Without Own Contribution, that is needed by the banking system. What is important also from young people in Poland, it's not dependent on it's not only for the families, but for all the young people in Poland. We have introduced the 0% income tax rate for the young people under 26, under the age of 26. So all the people who work in Poland and are younger than 26 years old don't pay income tax in Poland. We also work with municipalities, and this is the last point, work with the municipalities. I would call it a kind of the program of information or educational program that we are developing together with some of our non-government organizations to provide, educate, or maybe inspire the local municipalities to understand that almost all the areas that they are operating in Poland are somehow connected to the conditions for the families. So when talking about housing, about building infrastructures, about education services, healthcare services, all of these areas are related to the conditions for family life. So all of them are important, and in all of them we want to create a kind of synergy effect, cooperating from the different perspectives, and I mean here mainly government, local municipalities, and the third sector, so the NGOs. Thank you very much. Sorry for being a little bit too long, but as you see, we do a lot. It's not the end. We will still work on it. We are providing now the demographic strategy, which is a complex document covering all these areas in which we still need some improvement. Thank you very much, and wish you all the best in the event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Very interesting to know the policies you are developing in Poland. Of course, it's a very useful information for local municipalities working together with them. Thank you, and see you in next time. Bye. Then now we go to the second speech of this one young people really need to talk with Biliana Sirakova. I don't know how to say well. She is Zdraveti. Welcome to this Congress. Biliana Sirakova is the EU Youth Coordinator, the Youth Coordinator of the European Union. Maybe you can talk about the role of this figure, because I think you are only 2 years ago was on this position, and to listen to you about the lessons learned from the 2022 European Year of the Youth, addressing youth needs. Thank you, Biliana, to hear, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. Indeed, this role of EU Youth Coordinator is relatively new. I'm only 1 year in the position, and the purpose for this role, why was it created, is also to have this connection with authorities at regional, local level, with young people as well, to bring them closer to the EU, and importantly within the Commission to streamline how we work on youth issues. We are doing more and more for young people. However, we have to coordinate better between the different services and ensure also that young people have a say in all of our policies which impact them. So today I will talk to you about addressing youth needs and some of the lessons that we have learned this year. I want to start a bit broader, maybe. Hopefully you can see my slides, and you will get the presentation after the event. But just to give a bit the picture of the population, and some of the speakers referred to decreasing number of young population in Europe. However, I still want to point out that when we look at, especially at regional level or local level, There are some parts of Europe which have even really a very big population of young people. In 2019, 32% of the population, 1/3 of the population was children and young people. So you can see here from up until 29 is what we consider young people, 15 to 29. And this will certainly go down. Projection you can see in the 2052. However, still, when you look on the right, at the regional level, you can see some territories, for instance, overseas French territories, where the big majority is actually children and young people. So the point why I wanted to show this is to say that young people and children are a considerable part of our citizens, and their voices also have to be heard, and their needs have to be, we have to have their needs in mind and consider them. So what do young people need? What are the needs? Well, I want to highlight that they are very diverse. First, as you saw, we are talking about a huge range. Even when we talk about young people, 15 to 29, you can understand that the needs are very different depending on the different age groups. Secondly, there's a big context in terms of the youth needs. I have just put here a few statistics, but you can see, for instance, when we talk about youth unemployment at national level, it is extremely high in some countries, for instance, as Greece, and then it is much significantly lower in other countries. And you know very well that at the local level, there's also very big disparities. Then if you look at early leavers from education as well, while in Malta it may be 17%, in Greece this is at 4%. Youth homelessness is also on the rise, especially in some countries. And so you can see that the priorities really depend. And you know this the best. I mean, when we think about what young people need, we really have to consider the context and the environment. On the other hand, having said that, we think there are some commonalities, and this is why we have these 11 youth goals, which you can see here. They were developed together with young people, more than 50,000 from across Europe, and they are an integral part of the 2019-2027 EU Youth Strategy. So when we think about what do young people need, what are we striving to achieve for our young people, these are our guiding principles. You can see that they encompass many different parts of life, you know, from quality employment and quality learning to health and well-being to mental health, and also importantly to participation. I'm highlighting this because I'll be talking next a lot about it. So young people do need to participate actively in our societies as citizens. They need to have opportunity to express themselves and to have their voices heard. So one thing that I mentioned is the strategy. So this is our really framework for what we do at the European level for young people, and how we monitor progress is through a dashboard of youth indicators. And when you get the presentations, you can follow these links and explore them, because I think these documents and resources provide also a good framework to think about youth needs even at a regional, local level. The dashboard has national indicators as well, and these are just guiding principles in the strategy. The strategy is based on 3 main pillars. So when we talk about what we do for young people, we say that we want to engage, connect, and empower youth. Under engage, I've talked about participation. We want young people to be active in democratic life and in the society. When we talk about connect, we want to connect young people across borders. This is the added value that we bring also in terms of EU opportunities. When you think about learning abroad, training, studying abroad through programs such as Erasmus+ or European Solidarity Corps. And the third big part of our work is supporting youth work. So we want to support youth organizations, national youth councils, regional youth councils, youth NGOs, networks, because they also represent the voice of young people. They work and they're able to reach the young people at the local level. So this is what our strategy and all of our work, what we do in the Commission, is based on these 3 pillars. So next, I want to highlight, and I'm sorry, the text seems to have shifted a little bit, but some of the objectives of the European Year of Youth. So with this year, what we have tried to do is to create additional opportunities for young people, especially to reach out with those who are from disadvantaged groups or maybe have fewer opportunities to participate, to also promote opportunities, because not all young people are aware of what exists and what they can use, and importantly also to mainstream youth policies, so to make sure that the youth are considered in any kind of policy, whether we are talking about, you know, employment or transport or environment, that young people are consulted and the perspectives they bring are considered. So the year has so far been going quite well. You here see on the screen a map from the European Year of Youth page, and which shows that we have more than 7,400 different activities in over 50 countries, 54 countries. And these activities are anything from training opportunities, conferences, workshops, but also research and studies. And so there are a whole variety of different formats. And you're very welcome to also see what exists maybe in your country. We have national coordinators for the year. From the map, you can get the name for your country. And these national coordinators are responsible for implementing the European Year of Youth at the national level. So I will start now to talk about 3 learning points quite briefly. So the first one is communication. So this is, I think, an important lesson. It's not something completely new, but that we've gotten a bit different understanding from this year. So communication is clearly very important for young people, and for a long time already, we've managed our communications through also European Youth Portal. This is one place where all young people in Europe can find out what exists for them in their local language, whether it's, again, studying opportunities to get involved. So this is something that we've had even before the year. But what we learned this year is that we also have to go actively and communicate to young people. The fact that, this information is not there, a big part of the population still doesn't, of course, know this. So we have to be more active in using also their own channels. So we have first also kind of translated, if I can say, interpreted the information in youth-friendly language. So before, I think we had a lot of information which was just for the general public, but we have gone and reviewed everything and tried to post all opportunities and initiatives in youth-friendly language, which is simple to understand, accessible. And we have used the channels that young people prefer. When we started preparing the year, we asked them, how would you like to stay informed? And 68% of them said via social media, which is, of course, not surprising, but this is something that we understood that we have to actively push on social media, invest in different platforms. We have Instagram, Facebook, Discord community now, Twitter. And so we've created many competitions and just interactive type of possibilities there. For the first time, we also use this year influencers. We know that young people follow each other, peers online, and so we just have to be more active in going directly to them and not just waiting for them to reach and find opportunities. So we have really invested quite a lot here. The second learning point is on connection. Again, when preparing the year, we asked them, who would you like to meet this year? And especially after 2 years of pandemic, they were so eager to have in-presence meetings, which even if this virtual setting is very nice, of course, have no substitute. So they wanted to meet each other and also to exchange a lot with decision makers. So this is something that we've made possible. Another thing which I want to mention, we've really connected also through the different services. So in the Commission, more than 30 Deputy Directors General contribute. So this year was an opportunity to do a mapping and to understand who is doing what for young people. I think this is something that can work also very well at the national, regional, local level, because there are so many services offered by different stakeholders, and it's important to understand how they can be aligned and who contributes in what way. So we did this year. So we created these connections and new collaborations. Also, we had a big group of stakeholders, and we have a collaborative hub where youth organizations contribute. I mentioned the national coordinators. So in this year, I think we've created many new partnerships with the young people, with youth organizations, but also with the people who work for young people, and we want to build on that for the future. And then the final points that I want to mention is participation. So this has emerged as the top topic of the year. Young people want to be implicated in decisions, want to speak up. So in this regard, permanent structures are very good, because they are there even beyond the year. So we've already had many of these permanent structures. I've given some of the examples here. So these are bodies of young people, organizations or forums, which are there for young people to be represented in the policy-making processes, to be consulted, to be also our ambassadors, and to also attract others to these areas. So you can see some of these, and the new ones have been created this year, for instance, such as the bioeconomy ambassadors. But we have also explored new tools, because even if we had some processes in place, we wanted to also explore what more can be done. So for instance, we've launched a Youth Voices digital platform. You have the link there, where in an online platform, any young person in their own language can record a short message, their idea, suggestion that they have for the future of Europe, or for a specific policy area. And the others who can go on the platform and listen to thousands of thousands of voices of young people. We think that this platform gives access to anyone, and no matter if they come from a big city, from a very remote area, no matter of their conditions. So it's something that we want to promote further, and I think it can be also interesting maybe for your networks to share this. Another tool that we've launched is Youth Talks, similar to the TED Talks that maybe many of you know. So here we're inviting young speakers to share their ideas. We've created a pool of young journalists, and a big initiative that we have is a policy dialogues with commissioners. So commissioners have met in Brussels with young people from across Europe, more than 150 so far, and they have a conversation on a specific set of topics. It's been really ranging from brain drain to minimum income and social protection to, and one topic, for instance, that is happening today, one dialogue, is on jobs in transport. So you can see that there's a lot of new formats that we are trying, and we'll review and see which of them maybe it's worth to keep as permanent. Here, last thing to mention on the screen is this Name the New EU Space Constellation. So we've launched also a lot of different competitions, and just really initiatives to get people involved. In any time that we've been having an opportunity, we have done this. So this is just one example. And last thing maybe to highlight before I stop is talking about youth needs as well, and participation specifically. This year we launched a big survey, Eurobarometer, where 26,000 young people responded in the EU. And you can see, we asked them, what do they expect from this year? What do they want? And you can see that on the top thing, 33%, this is the table on the left, say that they want that society and decision makers listen more to youth's opinions and needs. So this is the top request. And then when it comes to specific areas, I want to highlight that on the right, topics such as mental health, unfortunately, I would say physical health has really risen up in priority, together with concerns for the environment among young people. Mental health 4 years ago, when we did the survey, was something at 4th or 5th place of priority, and now now it has become #1. So these are the two things that I want to highlight in terms of specific youth needs. The link is there to your national reports, which are in the local language. So you can also explore the different numbers for your countries as well. And if you would like to get more involved, because there is time on not only this year, but also beyond, these are some of the opportunities. You can contact your national coordinators for the year, organize activities, upload them on the map, follow us in the different media. And I definitely remain your point of contact. Happy to follow up with some of you if there are additional questions, and happy to stay in touch. Thank you so much for the attention. I think I've probably overrun a little bit, but I hope it was still useful information for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Biliana. Really, invest in the young people is the best thing we can do for the future of Europe. Then thank you very much for your work, and thank you very much to be with us. Then we are going to the next speaker, because we have listened, we have heard about youth and democracy. Really, we are in Europe in a very aging country, in a very aging continent. And we can ask ourselves, is really everybody is included in this democratic system? This is a question to answer with Matteo Rizzoli. Buongiorno, Matteo. Matteo is professor of public economy at the University of Lumsa in Rome, Italy. And the topic of your speech, for me personally, is very interesting. Because it's a question we are asking ourselves in the European Large Families Confederation, how to represent better the interest of children in a democracy. Then the question you want to talk to us is, it is universal suffrage only if young people can vote. Then go ahead with this topic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. How do I share my slides? They are okay, great. So I command them. Yes, very good. Okay, thank you very much for having me here. So this presentation comes right after Biliana's one, and I think it's perfectly on spot. I mean, we have talked a lot about the urgent need of young people to express their views, to express their political views, and we saw that there are many ways in which these political views have been surveyed, but in fact what is missing is the direct expression of their will. So that is going to be the topic of my speech. So let me begin by saying that many of the problems that we are facing today are the result of our decision-making process being too much present bias. A former president of Germany talked some time ago about pensioners' democracies. Our European ones are pensioners' democracy, and this creates these short-termisms. And we see it everywhere. We see it in climate change. The young people are occupying every Friday the streets of Europe and everywhere, claiming that we are stealing their futures. And what is amazing to me, look at this girl. You all know this girl. I mean, she's now 19, but until last year, she could not vote. She was making policy at a very high level. She was really making the political agenda of the world, but she could not express her vote. We see these short-termisms also in terms of demography. I mean, the demographic contagion, as the Economist names it, is attaching all the countries all over, and this is creating problems in terms of. The democracy has a huge impact on the economy, and this makes things complicated. Then there is also, the short-termism is of course evident also in the amount of public debt that we are accumulating. We are amassing public debt that future generations will need to pay. What is this? This is an index, an intergenerational justice index that puts together a lot of these measures, including measures referring to environment, but also to public debt and so on and so forth. And you see that while there are some countries that are more forward-looking, many countries in Europe are actually very lacking in terms of their capacity to look ahead and plan for the well-being of the future generations. Okay, today's policies are decided by older generations. Look at, I mean, this is the participation of the voting rates by age. This refers to the US elections, but we know that there is a problem with the youth participations to elections, and this ends up influencing the outcomes of the election. One of the problems is also related to a very, I mean, this is a problem specific to the US, that the young people need to register first, and this very often prevents them from expressing their vote, at least at the beginning. But these things happen in Europe as well. This shows both the turnout rates and the vote for the remaining in the Brexit referendum. You see that the older the people were, the more they participated to the referendum, and the less they voted for staying within the European Union. Probably, if you would have given more weight to the younger vote, then probably we would still have one more member in the European Union by now. So how do we get out of these pensioner democracies? How do we get out of this present bias trap? Well, there are many ways that have been explored. There are countries that want to put the future in the constitution, so they want to set up institutions that take care of the interest of the future generations on their behalf. Other countries have, they put emphasis on the need to restrain the debt, the public debt, so as an endorsement for the future generations. But what I want to talk to you about today is the voting. So the idea that you can actually empower the children with a political vote. So why the many voting? Why this name? Well, the many voting comes from, the many is a demographer. He published this article in 1986. So think about it. 1986, he was already looking and forecasting that we would go through a problem of low fertility in many countries. And he was asking, already he was speculating about what kind of radical ideas, radical policies would need to be implemented in order to address this problem. So these are the four proposals he came up with: educational vouchers. Well, that's probably something that we know a little bit about by now, but look at the second proposal: incorporating nuclear families. So treating families like a small corporation, both in terms of taxes, but also in terms of property rights over the flaws and the salaries and rents. This would change completely the way families think about their future. The third, linking pensions to prior fertility behavior. This is also, let me say, very radical as an idea. But the last one, the only one that I'm going to talk about today, actually the one that has been mostly discussed, is giving parents the proxy voting for their children. So how does this proposal work? Well, I mean, the idea is that if you really want to get the interests of the children into the political agenda, you need to let them vote. And if they cannot fully express their vote, at least you have to give that vote to those who represent their interests in every other respects of their life. We ask parents to care about the children's interests in every aspect of their lives. They need to care about their economic, educational needs, health-related needs, economic needs. Every kind of every aspect of the children's life implies that the parents needs to take care of it, except the political interest of the children. So those political interests are at the moment completely ignored by our system, and that's why it's really striking that we pretend we live in a universal suffrage democracies when still up to 20% of the voters are not fully represented or expressed. So, so this idea that the many voting would be to extend to actually get those votes be represented by giving proxy voting to the parents. So, of course, I know every time I raise this, I mean, it's not my proposal, it's the minister proposal. A lot of questions arise, a lot of objections. This is impossible for this and the other reasons, and so the typical questions that arise are: so who should vote? Who should vote? Well, that's a false problem. Who cares? I mean, it could be either the mother or the father. It can be half a vote of each other, half vote to each of the parents. They can turn, so one first and then the other to the next election, and so on. So there are many solutions to this problem. This is not really a barrier. Another typical objection: well, would the parents really vote for the interest of their children? Well, of course, we don't know, but I can tell you that it is better. I mean, if there is one person that is close enough to the child to know what the child really wants, it's his own parent. And the alternative we are experiencing now is that interest is not represented at all. So I would be left with the doubt that maybe the parents does not fully represent the interest of the child, instead of knowing for sure that that interest is not represented at all, as it is the situation today. And then finally, when should this proxy voting be stopped? Well, I mean, the easiest solution is, of course, when they turn 18, but there is actually, I'm totally in favor of another proposal by John Walls, I mean, another expert in this area, that says, well, it might be that we let the child vote as soon as he asks. I mean, why not leaving at 13 years old, who gets informed, who reads the newspapers, who gets online and study, and he gets interested in politics, to ask to express his own vote when he feels ready to do so. So that is also something that that can be discussed. So I know this the many voting sounds as a radical idea, but the more we talk about it, the more we reason about it, the more you realize that is actually a very good idea for the future of well, of Europe and demography as well. And I'm pretty sure that, I mean, at the municipality level, probably you can start to explore, to play with this idea. Maybe I mean, there are things that can be experimented at the municipal level before scaling up these things to the national level. So I come to the conclusion, because I'm running out of time. Yes, a full disclaimer. As a father of a large family, I would be entitled with quite few votes, but probably by the time this proposal will be approved, they will be all voting for themselves. Yeah, let me stop here. I think I got the message through, and thank you very much for having me here presenting this idea.
Thank you very much, Professor Rizzoli. Really, we agree totally with your opinion as an organization of large families, because we know that children need to be represented to take in account from the public administration and the public policies their interest. Then thank you very much. The discussion is open. I'm sure we will follow on this, working on this topic, and hopefully we'll see in the future this interest of children really represented in the tool which is the most democratic tool, which is the elections. Then thank you very much. Grazie mille, and see you next time. Thank you. We go now closing this first section, what young people really need. We have heard about the new policies to answer the needs of young people in Poland. We have heard about the policies that from the European Commission are doing for to hear and to listen young people and to invest in young people to build the future of Europe, and also how to represent better the interest of young people in the democratic system. Now we are going to see 3 different levels of policies, innovative policies to support young people in their life projects. And the first one is with the autonomous province of Trento. The province of Trento is is the leader, I think, now in new policies, very innovative and very creative to support families in Europe. And I'm very happy to have with us today Luciano Malfer, who is the director of the Agency for Social Cohesion of the autonomous province of Trento, and in charge of these policies. We want now to listen for you. Then thank you, grazie mille, Luciano, to be with us.
Thank you, Raul. Thank you for the invitation to this important Congress. Thank you to you, and thank you to Regina and all the members of the network, European network. I want to present to the people the last policies that my administration have implemented to favorite the young people, the life project of life people. You can look my presentation. Can you tell me?
Yes. We are watching the presentation well.
Okay. This is some of the policies we improved really recently. These policies to facilitate the transition to adulthood to people. I studied the question. I have some index about the problem for young people to create the family. Now we have this index as important. The index, you can see the situation of Italy. This is the index that we can look the young people leaving the parental household 2019, the date. And young people, Italy is here. Young people remain in home, parental hold. The average of EU is this 26, 27 years. Italy is here, 30 years. Best, no good Croatia, Slovakia, but in Sweden, the young people leave the parental homes really early, 18 years. This is one picture. The second picture is this. Here we can see the situation in Europe. We can observe the difference between North and South Europe. The South Europe have no this problem. Young people leave the parental homes really early. And Italy, Spain, Croatia have some problem about this. And another index is this, share of young adults age 25, 30 3 living with their parents in this year. We can look at the situation in Italy, and we have first the 50% of the young people live in parental house. The average of EU is this. Italy, with other country of the south of Europe, have this problem. So this is the situation. We have the problem, demographic crisis. We think really that the demographic problems are not solved with a single policy. We need an integrated system of policies. In these policies, one of these is the specific policies to improve the possibility the young people to leave the parental house. Trentino have implemented a strategic plan about this in 2019, 29 July, have approved a specific strategic extraordinary plan in favor of the family. The plan discussed the question in more areas. One of the areas is economic benefit. We have to improve the situation, the economic of family. This is important, but not sufficient. We have to improve the policies to work-life balance. We have a lot of policies about this question. We improve a local system of family well-being. The municipality of family are part of this project, this area, with other specific policies. We have a manager of country, family district, and so on. We have to promote the network of family, the family association. We have a lot of policies about this, but the new policies in Trentino in this year was the transition to adulthood, to promote the autonomy of young people. In this area, we study and develop these new policies. Trentino wants to introduce policies to encourage leaving the parents' house. This policy is important for the promotion of the birth rate. And in this year, is really recently, July 2022, our government approved this financial dowry for the independence of young people. We have studied recently these policies, and now is already approved. We have give some benefit to 10 family, 10 couple at the moment. Financial dowry. With this policy, Trentino has produced 3 types of benefits in favor of young people who want to leave the family of origin. 3 types of benefit. We studied this benefit with the local actors, the local banks, the young people association, and we, at the moment, is an experimentation. We have the possibility to change the policies in the time. The first, the requirement for young people is this: age under 40, continuous residence of at least 2 years in Trentino, income limit index. This is a local index, HF. Young people with an income of less than 3,500 euros takes the contribution. This is the policy specific specific for the middle class, not the poverty policies. The first benefit is this: bank loan of 30,000 euros for a duration of 5 years. The loan is provided by local banks. The young people have this possibility, this money. Our banks give this money, and there are no restrictions on the destination of the expenditure: kitchen, car, bedroom, children, bathroom, and so on. The young people leave the parental house, make the new family, and have this benefit, 30,000 euros, and no restriction to destination of this expenditure. Second benefit, one-off contribution if the young people, young family, leave the parental house, have a child, we give a contribution of 30,000 euros for the birth of the first child during the loan period, 5 years. The contribution reduces the capital lent by banks. If in the 5 years the young family have another child during the loan period, the contribution clears the residual debt. No more debt. Okay, the young people get out of the parental home, have the money. If the young family have a child, have the first benefit, and the second benefit if the young people have the second child. I have a shortly movie. Raul, if you can send the movie, please. Thank you very much for the attention.
Thank you very much, Luciano. Really, housing is one of the big barriers for young people to emancipate and to start a new family. Then this policy seems to be very good. We are going to expect the outcomes in the short term. We will be with you probably the next Congress to know about the outcomes of this policy. Another of the countries which is leader in Europe promoting family policies and with good luck to be during several years, not only 2, 3, 4 years, but I think 12 years working to promote families and supporting families with a strong policy is Hungary. Hungary is not only leader, but also a teacher for all our countries in Europe to follow your steps. And one of the main actors of these policies has been the Maria Kopp Institute for Demography and Families. Balazs Molnár is the vice president of this institute, is one of the biggest think tanks in Europe about family policies. Then if we are going to talk about innovative policies, we have to talk about Hungary, and Balazs is the best person to talk about these policies. Thank you, Balazs, to be with us today.
Thank you very much indeed. Can you hear me right?
Yes, perfect.
It is my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation. And of course, it is always great to speak after so nice initiatives which have been showed. And of course, we Hungarians are extremely grateful that the voting idea of Professor Pál Demény had been referred to at one of the previous speakers. He is a Hungarian demographer who lived and worked many years in the United States. But let me speak a bit about the subject at hand today. I believe that this is one of the most important questions. Intergenerational solidarity had already been referred to today, and of course the involvement of the young people actually in any decision what concerns them, but on the other hand also showing the path which will lead them to the possibility of forming a family and having children. We are very grateful that we have both on the Hungarian and on the European level as well statistics that show that actually Hungarian and also European youth would like to have more children than they have currently. And from the family and demographic perspective, the job is to somehow help them achieve these goals. So let's say a couple of sentences about the economic possibilities of young people. We have heard about the situation that it is not. You cannot see my presentation?
Yes. We're watching the presentation.
Okay, sorry, because yeah, I will try to close the chat because I see the chat. So sorry. So on the other hand, we have seen that most of the young Europeans do not have it easy on the labor market. There are lots of needs about them. So we are not in employment, not in education. We have seen that there are quite alarming youth unemployment figures in the European Union, that they are not able to start their independent life. They are not able to move out of their family home, but it's not their family home, but their parents' family home in time in order to have enough children or as many children as they would like to have in the future. So let's say a couple of words from the Hungarian perspective. We are happy to report that we have a much more stable employment prospects for Hungarian youth. We have managed to reduce the youth unemployment from 18% or 19% nearly in 2012 to 8% in 2021. There are much more answers to the measures which support the housing needs of young people, but still also purchase prices, but also rental prices have skyrocketed. So we have to be aware that with this current energy and inflationary crisis as well, helping young families towards their own home, their possibility for a home which can host the entire family will remain quite a challenge. And then we also have some help for student loans, which is very important that it is also provided to those who are not in tertiary education but in vocational education. For in case you ask for this student loan for your tuitions, then it is interest free. If you take the other form which covers your living expenses, then it is at 5% of interest rate, which is still very low in the current setting. And why is this so important? Because when we ask Hungarians about in childbearing ages, so among them lots of young people, which are the three most determining factors when deciding about their number of children? The first is the stability of partnership. The second one is employment, stability of employment. And the third one, on first place, we already have housing. So if we manage to address these challenges, then we might also see some good results when it comes to demography. And then let's examine a bit the attitudes of young Hungarians towards family and marriage. I have gone through some recent surveys. Well, first is that it is very important that young Hungarians still believe that it is worth to marry, it is good to marry. We have doubled the marriage rates in Hungary since 2011, and it also corresponds with this data that when young people are asked about it, they both say that, or 2/3 of them say that they would like to get married. Most of them would like to live in cohabitation with the partner and then move into the marriage. And also this question was phrased in a different way as well. How would you advise your friends to do so? And exactly the same amount, so 2/3 2/3 did recommend that as well. I believe that is also very exciting. So not just for themselves, but for the others. And then, of course, we have a very high support for children in Hungary still. We have roughly 79% of men and 87% of young women say that having children is indeed very important, and it gradually increases. So it is roughly 10% point higher for those who are 29, so at the end of their young ages. And of course, very important, for the most important factor, finding the proper partner, is that many young people, according to several surveys, including one in tertiary education, said that this would be very important to somehow create those community places which might have been better given in previous decades than currently, where they can find their partners. So it is indeed something where we always have to where we will have to address the situation as well. I'm quite sure that when we talk about attitudes, we can't miss out the image of family life, because this is something where a lot has to be done. The image of family life is attacked from various angles, and it is indeed very important that we, large family organizations, conservative governments give a very clear picture about how they believe that this is important to fight for the good image of the family. And this also is in relation what State Secretary Socha very rightly said, that reducing the poverty associated with family life is something which we in Eastern Europe, Central Europe, had to fight with, and we also have a very good figures there in Hungary. We managed to somehow break that poisonous linkage between, if you have large family, if you have 3 or more children, then that automatically will result in the family living in poverty. And then I would like to speak a bit about specific measures which we introduced to help young people. First of all, we followed the example of our Polish friends, and we also abolished the personal income tax of young people. So if they are under 25 years of age, as of this year, they do not have to pay any personal income tax. This benefits 370,000 young Hungarians. I believe this is indeed very important, that we somehow help that transition of the early career, of forming a family, of getting a grip of a first proper job, first proper employment, and help them a bit with that they can have a bit of a higher net income. On the other hand, we have the baby expecting subsidy, which is available to married couples, and this is a free-to-use loan which can be turned into a subsidy in case the family has 3 children in the coming years. And already if they have 2 children, then 30% does not have to be paid back. The big importance in this is that this is not bound to buying a house or buying anything else. This can be used for any purpose the family wishes to have. And there I have looked into the current numbers. 23% of those who took up this possibility were between the age of 18 and 29 years of age. So in our age group, this is the second largest age group making use of this possibility. We also have to say that this is a very favorable option, and of course this is very much liked by the Hungarian married couples. And then a graduate JED means that in case you have children throughout your tertiary studies or right after your tertiary study, you will be eligible to the family support, which otherwise you would not have been, because the prerequisite is social security payment within the earlier years. But there, as we would not like to punish young mothers and fathers who are very well educated this measure had been introduced. And of course, we also have the reduction of the student loans of mothers, again, trying to mitigate the effects of motherhood on their careers. And this means that if a young mother still has a student loan to be paid back and receives a second child, then half of the outstanding amount of the student loan will be taken over by the state. And if case she gives birth to a third child, then the entire outstanding amount will be taken over by the state, and the mother does not have to pay back anything. I would also like to refer to a program which is relatively new, and it concerns municipalities with dropping population. There is a list of those municipalities in Hungary which had a decreasing population in the last 5 years, and they are eligible to some specific programs. And this is very important so that they can somehow stop the population decline, help young people to remain where they have been born. A lot of job prospects have been provided, but of course we also have to see that these settlements are eligible for more favorable housing options, for example, but also a lot of nursery development programs have been started in these settlements. So, for example, if you are a young couple and you have jobs in the region or in the next town, just because you can't leave your child in the nursery within the settlement, it does not mean that now you have to move into the closest biggest city, but rather with the nursery at home, you still can remain living in that settlement. And I would like to finish with a threat to our young generations. And we know that the young Europeans would in average like to have two children, or even more than 2 children in average. So there is no problems at all. On the other hand, many of these children are not born. And one of the threat which is alluring at them and might make them insecure about their plans of having children is the environmental threat. And we have to be very vigilant in this. We had done a research together with ELFAC in Hungary as well, and among the Hungarian large families associations, and we asked them whether they agree that due to the impending climate catastrophe, it's not worth to bring children to the world. And we see a very eloquent responses here. These are the negative answers, what you can see on the screen. So in Europe, among large families, 71% do not agree with this statement. In Hungary, among large families, this is 86% who do not agree with this. We have to be very clear about that. Actually, the per capita CO2 emissions of large families and families in general is actually lower than those who do not live in families. So we have to be able to protect the young generation, and do not let these voices, often also said by celebrities, make them insecure about their family plans. Yes, we have to be very, very cautious about the environment and protect the environment, but especially because we would like to leave it to our offsprings, to our children, our grandchildren. So in that sense, family is rather a garant of a more green Europe and world than anything else. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I hope I was not too long. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Balazs. Very interesting to know about Hungarian policies, and I think it's a good guide for all of us to build this family-friendly Europe. Thank you very much, Balazs. See you again. And then we have heard about regional policy in the autonomous province of Trento, of a national policy in Hungary, and we are going to now 2 examples of local policies supporting families and supporting young people. The first one, we go to this nice and beautiful country of Portugal with the municipality of Castro Marim, with Anaísa Firmino, which is member of the municipality of Castro Marim. And Castro Marim is one of the municipalities also members of the European network of family-friendly municipalities. Then welcome, Anaísa, to be with us, and the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone.
We are listening you very low. We don't know why. Yes, the sound is low. Yes.
Okay, it's better now.
Yes, now
Yes.
now it's a bit better. Yes.
My name is Anaísa, as Raul said. I'm from Castro Marim, and I'm going to share with you a presentation from our measures in the municipality for families and young people. We are a municipality of Portugal in the border with Spain. As you can see in the photo, it's the bridge. In the other side, it's Spain, Ayamonte. We are in the Algarve region, in the southeast of the country. You can see our location. We have a total of 6,439 residents. Castro Marim is divided in 4 areas. Altura, it's near the sea. Castro Marim, Zinhal, and Odeleite. You can see our castle, our beautiful castle. We have some main challenge for now. The desertification of the interior, housing and roads. The desertification of the interior of the territory, the aging population and the lack of jobs in the interior, it's a big problem for us. And housing too, due to the high prices of the properties and low average salaries, the majority of the local people cannot afford or buy or rent a house. Therefore, housing in Castro Marim are mainly for holiday houses, and not permanent residents. And has a problem in all Europe because of the climate changes. We can see a reduction of the rain in the last few years, lowering the water levels into region dams. We have 2 dams. It's Odeleite, you can see in the image, and another that's Balazs. And now I'm gonna pass to the support measures. We have some support measures for birth support. The municipality helps the couples and giving the amount of for the first child 750 euros. For the second child 150 euros. And for the 3 or more childs, 1,750 euros for the third or more. We have also for families a family rate discount on water bills. It's a discount if you have a family with more than 5 elements. And also we have some education support measures. We offer the activity books for all students of the first grade. We give economic support for school supplies for the disadvantaged children on the beginning of the school year for the first, second, and third grade. And we also give support for school lunch for also to disadvantaged children in the first, second, and third grade. We make the full payment of the bus transportation school, and we also have a municipal school bus support for communities without easy access to public transportation. In like Odeleite, we don't have a public transportation, so we help it. Also for education, we have some scholarships for a high school. We have these scholarships at the high school and the university are for disadvantaged students. For high school, we give 50 euros for during 10 months during the school year, and the university we give 250 also for 10 months. And now we have a new scholarship for merit. We pay the tuition fees for students that joining the university with a grade above 70. And we have also some measures. We offer a field trip for the best students. As an example, this year they went for a hot air balloon trip in Alentejo. That's another region in Portugal. We have gymnastics for preschool, and extracurricular activities for the first grade, like music, technologies, and environment. We have another program for children. It's Férias Ativas. On Easter and summer, the municipality provides activities for children from 6 until 14 years old, like kayaking, beach sports, sailing lessons, and others. And it's very fun for them. We have another program. It's for Jovens pelo Ambiente. It's for young people and focusing on activities related with the environment. It's for children above 14 years old. And now we focus on the future of this big problem you have here about housing. We facing the housing challenge. Castro Marim plans to implement measures to minimize the problem, and we have a collaboration agreement between the municipality and the Institute for Habitation and Urban Rehabilitation. We now have the local habitation strategy with a big investment or for 4,633,000 euros until 2025. And we're going to make house rehabilitation, construction of new social habitation, and construction of housing with regulated costs. Also, we're gonna have a new program of accessible renting, and we're gonna change into calculation of the IMI, that's property taxes. We're gonna make the differentiation between permanent residents and holiday houses. And that's my presentation, and thank you very much for your attention, and best wishes for all of you. Obrigada.
Obrigado. Very nice pictures of Castro Marim. Really, you are doing a very good work to support families, which means also supporting young people. Thank you very much, Anaísa.
Obrigada.
And now we are going to go to the next speaker. This is another example. We are going to one side of Europe to the another side, from Portugal to Poland, with Paweł Siciński, which is member of the municipality of Trzebnica. I don't know if I pronounced well the name of the city. We are not hearing you, Paweł.
Okay, it's Trzebnica.
Trzebnica.
It's easy.
Perfect. Then, yes, you are open to talk about the policies you are doing in this very nice city of Poland.
Okay, please at the beginning, please put the short video about our municipality.
Perfect. Then we have a video ready.
Thank you so much for this video. As you see, we are the old city located on the southwest part of Poland. I try to start my presentation. Oh, there is. We are located on the, as I said, on southwest of Poland. We are the city of St. Hedwig. The city located by the St. Hedwig, and it's very important. As you see, we are a lot of children in our municipality, and we consequently, our major consequently built some infrastructure for the activities for our people, and especially for youth and children. Every day, on each day of the year, there are some swimming lessons, some art activities, sport, and so on. We have a few sport clubs which young people could play: football, handball, volleyball, boxing, and so on. That are only this what you see is a municipality offer for the some activities for the young people. And there are some private activities like MMA club. But many of municipalities have some everyday activities for the young people. I think that this what is special us is offer built on the this time when the young people don't going to the school on the holiday. This year we organized some workshops and activities for all 2 months of summer holidays and 2 weeks or on winter holidays. As you see, there are some different activities: handcrafts, art, sport. The young people could spend this time attractive in our city. Last year There are another theme of summer holiday, the holiday laboratory. They going around the city and another, and do something interesting. The special offer that interesting is that all these activities, holidays activities, are free. They don't must pay for anything of these activities. Last year, as you see, 130 youths are on the workshops in Trzebnica, 75 youths on workshops in village councils around the Trzebnica city. There was some special library workshops on this holiday, and 48 youths are on this library workshops. I think that this holiday offer is this what is special for Trzebnica. In my opinion, there are no other municipalities around us which have those activities, those offer for the young people in this time of holiday. I think our major always said visit Trzebnica because there is a perfect place for families and the perfect place for young people. I heard that we receive an family-friendly certificate, which said that we are really perfect place for families and for young people. Thank you for your attention, and I hope that we meet in Trzebnica.
Then thank you very much. Dziękuję bardzo, Paweł. And really, I agree the comment we saw on the screen saying it's beautiful city, green city, and really family-friendly city. That's important.
Yes, of course.
Thank you very much, Paweł. Then we have heard about the regional policies, the national policies, and the local policies from one side of the other side of Europe. And now we are going to listen the opinion of the civil society, the entities which are representing European citizens, also young people. And we are going to start with Elizabeth Gosme. Elizabeth Gosme is the executive director, the director of COFACE Families Europe, big organization in Europe, the big organization representing family organizations of all Europe, or of kind of family organizations. Then you are in a good place to know about how to break these barriers, or which are the barriers that young people have in Europe to build a future for them, and it's the future of all of us. Thank you, Elizabeth, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Raul. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, perfect.
Great. Hi, everybody. Thank you. I've been listening, taking notes. The proxy voting is a nice idea. And the thing is, the implementation, as you suggested, would give a big advantage to large families. So, but I think it's really nice. And in fact, I gave my vote to my daughter in the last French elections. So that was an interesting one because it was her future at stake. And then a friend of mine who was 17 during the Brexit vote asked her grandmother if she could proxy vote. So I think it holds a lot of potential to bring out the voice of children. But anyway, that's a personal note. So yes, thank you very much. And I guess I'm here representing COFACE Families Europe. And for those of you who don't know us, COFACE Families Europe is a pluralistic network of families, all types without discrimination, with 50 organizations across 23 countries, and we really aim to shape a European work-life balance reality to help address the needs of families and their children, or indeed their older family members, and to really help them reconcile these two important parts of their lives, work and family, or work and care. And so we advocate for the rights. We're based in Brussels, and we advocate for the rights of families in different fields: gender equality, digitalization, social field, disability rights, child rights, education, consumer policy, migration, and many more. As you can imagine, there is a lot happening in the EU Brussels arena, and we are trying to be as present as possible to bring a strong voice and mainstream that family dimension in EU policy. So, of course, the voice of youth comes up both as potential parents, but also as carers for their family members, but also as children who are rapidly becoming youth and adults. And I think a lot has been said today in terms of the realities of young people. And I think I might just reaffirm or confirm by saying that some of the general trends we're seeing are the following. So first of all, increased poverty or risk of poverty due to various big transitions: the demographic transition, the digital transition, but also the health, the energy, the green transitions. There are big transitions ongoing, societal transitions, and this is definitely creating more risks and therefore calling for more resilience, I guess, of families. Secondly, worth noting is the gender care gap, which is still a reality in Europe. So this uneven sharing of the care in households in relation to care and household tasks in general, which was reinforced really with COVID. And this is particularly affecting women. Another trend is the digitalization at home and at work, with both opportunities and threats. But in 2020, researchers from the University of Girona and Oslo Metropolitan University analyzed EU SILC data, so income and living conditions data, for the DigiGen Horizon 2020 project. It's a big research project. And they found that on average, 5.4% of school-aged children, 6 to 16, live in households that cannot afford a computer or an internet connection. So there is a digital divide in some parts of Europe, and it's much more present in some countries than others. So up to 20, 30% in some countries and only 1-2% in others. But the fact that we are in very digitalized societies, obviously this leads then to other risks. Another trend I think is worth mentioning, which has been mentioned already, but is the increase in care needs in old age, with impacts on families, children, youth, but especially on the sandwich generation, as we call them. So people who are looking after both children and older adults, or older adults and who therefore don't have time to think even of having children. Another area, I guess, is, well, the fact that care needs start not only, with old age. Care needs can also start in the early years, for instance, for children with disabilities. And we still have education systems in Europe, in most of the European countries, including higher education, since we're looking at youth, systems which are still not inclusive in Europe. So this leads to a series of exclusions, of course, from society, and is a barrier that we see. Lastly, families and societies are diverse. Hence, policies for families and youth need to be fully inclusive so that the support developed in policies and services actually reaches that diversity. So we see lots of patchwork families, recomposed families, single parents, rainbow families, parents with disabilities as well. And I think it's about ensuring that the families, that the policies we develop and services actually respect young people and their choice of how to build a family. In relation to recommendations, if I may, based on what COFA Families Europe is advocating for, in relation to poverty and the risk of poverty, there are big frameworks ongoing, like the European Child Guarantee that was already mentioned, And here, really, our main recommendation is to, is really about making sure that the governments truly implement this child guarantee. And that means not only through national measures. We've had the different levels of governance here, as Raoul said. It's really about translating the child guarantee measures, so really addressing child poverty through regional and local action plans. So making this guarantee a reality in policy terms, but also in funding terms. There are many European funding tools available as well to support governments, but also local and regional authorities. I don't know if you know of the technical support instrument driven by DG Reform of the European Commission, which is a very interesting mechanism. Of course, the Recovery and Resilience Facility, but also, of course, the European Social Fund Plus and the European Regional Development Fund. These are all tools that I think are underused, really underused currently to support youth and, really try to develop interventions or try out pilot new interventions at local level. So that's in relation to poverty. From a European perspective, I'm speaking, of course, from a more European perspective and the use of European tools. In relation to gender equality, I mean, there we have, we have different EU policies and legislation in place. We have a gender equality strategy. We have the EU Work-Life Balance Directive, which is a great piece of legislation on employment, setting up minimum standards on paternity leave, so bringing men more into caring roles and giving them that opportunity to be there for their families. We also have minimum standards for carers, but also parental leave and flexible working, all elements that help families reconcile their work and family lives. And this obviously helps, to break down stereotypical visions of caring roles in the family, allowing men to be more present and more caring, and allowing women, of course, to be more economically independent and bring in income into the family to address also the poverty that we are seeing on the rise. In relation to care, so care is a challenge, and as you know, the president of the European Commission, von der Leyen, launched a care package, a European care strategy, to boost the professional care industries, both in early childhood and in long-term care. So that can be more for adults, but also for children who need long-term care. And I think boosting these care sectors is fundamental. And this is very much a local competence, because while the European Commission can impulse measures at national level, the national funding and policy frameworks, legal frameworks need to be there to support, I guess, the regional and local authorities to actually develop the care infrastructure of today and tomorrow. And this obviously can help set up different services of support to families, or young people who know that in the future, should they choose to have children, will be supported. So for us, really a big impulse of the European care strategy, I think, is needed. In relation to digitalization as a challenge, well, I guess what we need ultimately to really empower young people at different levels, it can be in work, in family, but also young people living in more rural areas as opposed to urban areas. I mean, we cannot afford to have a digital divide. And so really, there's two levels of actions needed according to this latest Horizon 2020 research. It's really boosting access to technologies for all. So addressing digital deprivation, making sure people have access to software, to a computer, to really the hardware, if you like, but also then access to digital skills, because it's not enough to have access to affordable digital technologies. You then need to be supported on how to use these. And youth need to be empowered. They already are. They are the digital citizens of today, ultimately. But I think more is needed, I guess, to boost their skills, but not only youth, of course. This is across the board, I think, absolutely intergenerational. But clearly a lot can be done in that area. And for that, there are European frameworks like the European Pillar of Social Rights, with Pillar Principle 20, which is all about access to essential services, including access to digital connections. And this is really important. And then, of course, there's what DG Connect of the European Commission is doing, which is the Better Internet for Kids strategy, really trying to support and empower children while protecting them, making the online world and digital technologies in line with child rights by their design. And therefore, I think on digitalization, there are a number of measures. This might be less linked to the local level, because if we're talking about municipalities and everything municipalities are doing, but I think if you frame this in family supports, you can imagine that, you know, there can be programs to support digital parenting, or indeed help children be digital citizens, truly digital citizens, and support them in that journey. Then, of course, there's digitalization in the workplace, which is a reality of today, really, with what we saw with COVID-19. And so that is, I guess, about supporting young people to, fully have their rights, but not just young people, all of us. I think we need this. This is about regulating smart work, telework, flexible working. There's this notion of the right to disconnect, which is being discussed by the social partners of the EU, Business Europe, and the European Trade Union Confederation. And I think as the world of work evolves, so not only on the contracts level, the labor law, but I think also on the new digital realities, this is about the mental well-being of the youth of today, and a lot can be done in that area, not least through the full transposition of the EU Work-Life Balance Directive, which contains measures in relation to flexible working. So it's a good starting point, but clearly more needs to be done. So I think these are just some reflections, Raoul, based on Coface Families Europe, on what we're seeing for the youth of today and some of the policy solutions we're seeing being put in place at European level. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. There is a lot of work to do and many things to do with young people. But also, yes, investing in families is also investing in young people, and this is the best thing we can do. Then thank you for your work from COFACE. Thank you for your explanation about all these things. And we go for the next speaker, which is Nicola Speranza. Nicola Speranza is the Secretary General of the Federation of Family Catholic Associations in Europe. And they are doing really a very good work promoting this idea that supporting family is the best investment for the young people and for the countries. Then, Nicola, if you can give to us the point of view from the association you are working about how to break these barriers that young people have for their future, and to the most important thing, which is to start a new home, to start a family.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Raoul. Thank you also to Regina Maroncelli and to ELFAC for this kind invitation, and for the wonderful cooperation that we have together. And I'm very happy that I speak after Elizabeth, who mentioned everything. Really, she gave a brilliant overview of what the European Union is doing for families and for young people. I really like the title of this event today, because breaking the barriers, local family policies for young people's future. This is really in the same line of what we want to bring to Brussels in the European institutions, also helping European policymakers to speak in concrete terms, to act, not only to speak, and also to think out of the boxes. It's also our role, I think, here in Brussels to help people to think out of the box. And which is the box we find ourselves today in Europe? Is this idea that the family is the poor, is something to be cared of, something which is maybe even dying, and we need to support it. We need to urgently go to help the family, to support, which is partially true, but does not correspond to the full picture. Actually, we want to shift the paradigm with our federation of 32 associations all over Europe. We want to bring this new paradigm of the family as the solution for the future, and that's what we are saying all the time. Also, with our last resolution that we adopted on the last month, on the 20th of October, at our board meeting in Paris, we decided, precisely because of this care strategy that Elizabeth was mentioning before, we decided to devote a resolution on this topic, and we said the family unpaid care work is the heart of intergenerational solidarity. Is the heart of the intergenerational solidarity. And here, allow me to quote Pope Francis in Laudato Si, who said that there is no sustainable future, there is no sustainable development without intergenerational solidarity. And we can conclude, we can continue by saying that there cannot be intergenerational solidarity if there are no more generations, if there is just one generation. So coming back to the demographic data, we heard about already a bit today, and we are all aware of the demographic winter Europe is experiencing. We are going towards a mono-generational society. If you look at the pyramid of ages, there is no intergenerational solidarity possible because this sandwich generation Elizabeth was talking about is more and more taking care of the elderly and not being able to be open to the future, to have the children people want to have. So we should shift our paradigm. I think this was the main message also of our resolution on the care strategy, and also shifting about this paradigm, leaving this idea that the elderly are a burden. On the contrary, they are a richness, a treasure for our society, and that's where intergenerational contacts are fundamental. In this sense, if we recognize the role of the family, the function of the family, the fact that the family is not the problem, no? As Matteo Rizzoli was mentioning now in the comments, but the solution for the future, well, it will go without saying that family policies are not just a part of social policies, are not just a kind of social policies to support families, but are a development policies. Family policies are a part of economic policies. They are cohesion policies. In this sense, I was very happy to listening to all the examples from Trento to Poland and to Portugal, mentioning implementing these ideas. That what we are saying in Brussels is already implementing locally. by the municipalities of the network. That's why I'm very happy to be here with you today. Well, now we are also during the Czech semester, the presidency of the Czech Republic, the European Union, and the Czech presidency is also stressing this need of coordinating in implementing better family work-life balance. Elizabeth also mentioned the work-life balance directive that needs to be implemented. But I also wanted to refer to what Biliana Sirakova, was saying. She was mentioning the needs of young people, and I was particularly struck by this attention given to mental health, especially after this period of pandemic, all these lockdowns that our young people had to experience. And here I speak, allow me to speak also as a young person, and not only representative of FAFs. But it was particularly significant to see this mental health at the first point of young people's needs, and I also noticed the aspects of promoting the digital well-being, the digitalization of society. So this was the last concern for young people in this slide that Biliana was showing. That's very interesting. That also tells us that we absolutely need to take care of what really gives meaning to our young people. There was a couple of years ago, maybe, before the pandemic, a research from the Pew Research Center, which was listing different kind of different sources of meaning for people, like friends, occupation, leisure, and family, of course. And it was very interesting to see that among the 17 countries worldwide that this research was conducted, in 14 out of 17 countries, the first source of meaning for young people was the family. Beyond occupation, beyond even health, beyond coming first, beyond the friends as well. So being a good husband, being a good wife, being a good mother, a good father, is something that in the eyes of young people today, maybe even more than before, is considered of the highest respect. But we often notice that this is not the case for our policy makers. This is not often the case looking at the way how our policies are implemented. That's why we again, I come back to this aspect that also Balazs Molnár was mentioning, but also Luciano Malfer, speaking about family associations, family networks, what ELFAC members are doing as well all over Europe, giving spaces for exchange, where also young people can get inspired. Today, this morning, I met a couple of elderly persons who were celebrating their wedding anniversary today, and I congratulated with them, of course. And they were saying they were very shy and saying that, well, it's not today, because I was emphasizing a lot my congratulations, and they said, well, but yeah, well, it's just the anniversary, it's not our wedding day. And I told them, well, it's much easier to get married one day than arriving to your date after so many years, more than 30 years together. This kind of examples, this kind of source of inspiration, without judging the reality and the particular stories of everybody, must really taken into account, and we should rejoice for these examples, also because this is what young people are really looking for. The reality shows that, and that's what also the reason why family associations are very much needed, are so important. And I'm very happy of this cooperation. I don't know if I'm speaking too much, or I don't see Raul from here, but yes, I'm open to every question. But I think I touched upon all the main points I wanted to mention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nicola. Very interesting, and very interesting your perspective of this question. I think it's a question that implies everybody has to be committed with this task, because our future is there, as you say, and really we have to change our mind. We have to change the culture we are living together in Europe, to highlight that really family is not a problem. It's not a social problem. And invest in our future is the best solution. The solution is there really in the family. And young people are crucial for this, because they are the people who want to bring these new families, and we have to do all things to allow them to build this future.
If I may, Raul, maybe just one point,
yes.
if there is time, on this aspect of digitalization, because I was very happy also to hear the question of digitalization, a better internet for kids. Elizabeth was rightly mentioning this initiative from the Commission, but we really need to push member states to implement also the very basic protection tools for children and for young people, because there are harms in the digital environment that first of all ruin the digital environment itself. It becomes an hell for many, instead of being a place of sharing, a place of education, of growing, and also it prevents families of being together happily together. So I wanted just to recall this aspect, because yesterday we had an important event at the European Parliament also on the issue of pornography. And this is a serious matter. So there was also a resolution from the European Parliament on the right to disconnect, linked to the family work-life balance. Indeed, we need all together also with our associations, also at the national level, to push member states to have accountability on this topic, and to see also, to ask them, to confront them on seeing what are they doing in a very concrete way, to protect minors, to protect young people from these challenges, and having a positive digital environment. That the digital environment can really be a source of inspiration for many, but should never be unhealthy. This is really the case for many nowadays. Thanks.
Yes, the digital environment we are living today, I think it should be the topic for another Congress, because we have many things to say about this. But I think pornography is also part of this digital world and is doing a very bad influence, especially for young people. Being young people sometimes addict to pornography and unable to understand what really means love. And I think it's very important, because this love is very necessary to start a family and to have this future, to start this future. Then you are open really a very big question. We need to work on it and to discuss, and you are doing with many events, I know, but really we need to translate this priority really to all countries to act and not to delay an answer to this problem. Thank you very much, Nicola, for interesting your comments. And now we are going to listen the voice of young people, because we have listened about from civil society, from governments, local, regional, national governments, from experts. But now we have some young people, 3 young people from 3 different countries that can talk about this. One's Ramon Ros, welcome. Thank you very much to be here. Ramon is 25 years old from Barcelona. Maybe you can introduce yourself later. We have also Maya. I don't know if Maya is here, and Tietje. Yes, Maya is here. Hello, Maya.
Hi, everyone.
Maya Jesmanovic from Poland.
Yes.
How old are you? You are 22.
22. Yes.
And we have also Tietje Iversen from Germany.
Yes, hello.
You are the youngest, 16 years old.
Yes, exactly.
But you are not now in the high school. You are on the computer.
Yeah.
Then perfect. Now, I know the schedule in Germany is different than in Spain. In Spain, we finish so late. And then the idea is to talk about this, the topic of this Congress, the breaking barriers. Which are the barriers you are feeling as a young person to have a future? What are your worries? What really are you afraid of? I don't know. Maybe Ramon, you are the first to enter in the platform.
Perfect. Hi, my name is Ramon. I am a consultant at PwC Barcelona. About this topic, I do believe that one of the main barriers we have now with young people to start their life, to begin as young adults, is the fact of the uncertainty of the work labor future. I mean, Raul, when you were young, you knew you were going to have a job and many opportunities, and it's proven that it's been growing for a while. But lately, we go in crisis after crisis. We have economic crisis, COVID crisis. Now there's another inflation crisis. So it's crisis after crisis. I feel that one of the main problems is that we have instability. Second of all is the rising of the prices on the living, so the housing, the difficulties to access a cheap, affordable, nice house where you can create a family, or maybe start when you're young. It's way harder than before. For me, those are the 2 main difficult points we have as young people to begin as young adults.
Yes, really it's difficult, because we heard before that a very high proportion of young people means until 34 years old. That's incredible, but this is the definition of young people. European Union are living with their parents. Then this is a big problem, because if you emancipate from your fathers from 25 to 35, then you start a family a bit late, and maybe you want to have more than 2, 3, 4 children, then will be difficult, only for a biological question. Maya, you are from Poland, you are 22.
Yes.
Which is your impression about the topic of this Congress?
I think it's very, very important for us. And first of all, I would like to thank you for this conference, because I think it's very important. And in Poland, we have been active for a year now, together with some other young people from large families, and we decided to make a group called Młodzi na Plus in Polish, which wants to start a public dialogue of families in Poland. And we see that more and more young people are thinking about whether to start a family or not at all in the future. And I think we think that sometimes this is related to anxiety, some financial issues. Some of us want to just desire and pursue a career. So the things and our dreams are very very various. So it is like we see many of them, but we also see that sometimes it is related to negative memories of their own childhood and some bad image of parenthood. And also we think that sometimes people who had such a experience in the past, they do not see any other option for them. So that's why they don't want to have their own family. And also we see as my friend before me said, some few crises, and one of them is climate change. And we see that it's something that we have on our minds, and we talk and we think about it a lot. And also we see that we have some troubles with relationships, and I don't know why. Maybe we can talk about this, but people have some partners, but then they want to change them, and it's not very stable right now. So we see a few major problems, and that's why we will have a huge event in 2 weeks. It is called a Congress for Youth, and we will talk about this. So after 2 weeks, I think we will have some solutions. So maybe later I can talk a bit more about this one.
Thank you. Yes, we can talk later. I think we have the idea in the European Large Families Confederation to have this group of young people to discuss and to approach to the problems from the perspective and the ideas of young people, not from ours. You know, it's very interesting. Then Tietje, I don't know if I pronounce well your name.
Yeah, sort of. It's a little complicated.
You are in Germany. I don't know in
yes,
which
exactly.
city.
Yes, I'm Tietje, and I'm in the city Essen. And I sort of will speak from a perspective of like a person from still school. So I'm in my last year now. And I think that sort of the problem of like, or the barrier for emancipation sort of also starts in like our school system and already in school, because like if you are more privileged, I don't really think that you have like a lot of problem of emancipating. Of course you still do, but not as much as people that are like poorer. And especially in my city, you can see a segregation between like North and South. And you can definitely see that people that are like more wealthy have a better education. And even though our school system is free and everyone has access to the education, it is really different, and you get different support and so on. And I think that that is like a main aspect. And also another aspect is the nursery and kindergarten, because I also think that we in Germany don't have enough kindergarten places. So if I, for example, wanted to start a family and then I would still be at home and then I wanted to work, I would need my child to go to a nursery or kindergarten. And in Germany, for example, sometimes it is not able to like put my child to a kindergarten. So I wouldn't like sort of could start doing work again. So I think that's also a major problem. Yeah.
Yes, sometimes, Ramon is left. I hope he will be with us soon. Do you think that, because a lot of people say that the problem of the fertility rate in Europe, you know, we have not enough number of children to replace generations. This is not a reason to having children. I think nobody wants to have children to have a good replacements of generations in Europe. But really, when you see the surveys to the people, women and men, saying which number of children you would like to have, always is more than are really having later. Then there is a problem, and most of the experts say the problem is we start having children so late. For example, in Spain, in my country, the age to have the first child is now almost 33 years old. To have the first one, then if you want to have more, is really difficult. You think really that, for example, with a good system of nurseries, you say, or to take care of children and to combine having children with work is the solution? Which will be the good solution for young people to start a family and having children? Maybe, I don't know, my parents, for example, start having children when they finished university, maybe 23 years old, 24, they married, and 24, 25, they arrived the first child. This could be a good objective. But now for you see that it's possible for you to start at that age. What should be changed? I don't know, Ramon. Ramon, you are 25. I don't know if you are married. I think no.
No, I'm not married, Raul. You know that. What I think, it is difficult. I don't think there's one thing that you can do and solve the problem instantly. Any good idea helps, but probably maybe giving a way better financial tool to young people to access the market of housing. Maybe not having to have such a big entry, or maybe lowering the interest type. Also, I like the nursery idea, but it's also expensive to have someone to be with your child.
Yes, Amaya, I like it very much. You talk about relationships. Really,
Yes.
this lack of sense of commitment, I think, to have strong links between people.
Yes, yes. I think that in Poland I can see such a few. I would say it's like a division in Poland between people who are raised in a particular environment, and it is often with Christian values, and such people are usually more willing to start a family, maybe because they know how to build a relationship. And I don't know, it's just my suspicions about this, but also I think that something that may help us young people is to talk about families. I mean, to just have this public discussion about this, and support us. I mean, us, our parents, just to be like, just to show us young people that this topic is very important, and be open to our fears, to some our new thoughts, our concerns, and not be afraid to confront our fears, because we might have different fears than you did like a few years ago. So I think that's the second one, just to talk about this between generations, so we can learn from you and from your experience, and then make our own decisions.
And Tirce, you are in the high school, and we know that now in the school you find a lot of this called sexual education. But maybe do you feel that maybe there is a lack of, I don't know how to say, affections education? See the meaning of love, the meaning of see how to build a sincere and strong relationship with someone, not only with the physical question. That could be help.
Yes, I do think it really depends on who you speak to, because it definitely differs from like the person. But I do have the feeling that sometimes or nowadays people only like sort of speak more, not like that deep. So we talk like a lot of things openly, but I think that like through sort of everything not being like so sure in themselves, I think definitely it is like more harder to build a deep connection. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And for example, you, if I may ask this, which age are you thinking that maybe you will have children? At which age? So you are thinking maybe I will be a mother or not. Maybe you don't want to be a mother. That's another reason. There are more and more people that want to be parents today because maybe they say the climate change and the environment, but we know these are not real. But for example, which age are you thinking in the future I will be mother at?
So I think sort of in my opinion, I want to have children like quite early, but that is just because like my mother had me with 24 and then after had like 3 other children. But so that's why I also think that like I want to have kids like in a more early age, but I still want to sort of have like assurance that I will have enough financials for it. I want to have like studied first and so on. So that also sort of like puts out like the time when I will have children, but like my goal is to have like children quite early, also 25 or something. But I know especially for my friends and so on, if I tell like them, yeah, I want to have children with 25, they're like, whoa, you want to have children that early and so on. So yeah, they are always like, wow, 25 so early. And if I tell them, yeah, my mother had me with 24, they're also always like, wow, my mother had me with 35 or something. So you can definitely see that like the most people and my friends and so on want to have children definitely later. So also with like 30 and so on, if they have like a assured place to live and financial, they're fine in financials. So yeah.
Yes, to have a stable job, to have a good salary. It's very important to have a house to live and to start thinking to having children. Maja, I think you wanted to add something.
Yes. So fun fact is that some of my friends already have their children. So it's and we are 22. So in Poland, I think more people want to have kids when they are young. And I was raised in a large family, and I think it's a very great combination to live in. And I also want to have 4 children at least. And I think I might be ready around 25 or 26. That's my dream right now about this.
Wow. Very good. You could read that from your association, the Large Family Association in Poland, saying that in 2 weeks they are organizing this congress you were talking about for young people about the family.
Yes. It's going to be 2 days of workshops and also a conference. So we want to talk about this topic and to hear the voice of young people in Poland.
Thank you, Ramon. I don't know if you want to add something more.
No, I think it's good.
Your voice would be
Which age are you thinking you want to start having children and to start a family, or maybe you need to start a good partner before?
I need to find a partner first, Raúl.
Everybody who is watching this video, Ramon, 25 years old, Barcelona, very nice boy. No, but really, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's nice to find really a partner with your same values with you, with this feeling to have a commitment for the future and to face difficulties and to, yes, we need this education about affections and feelings. I would like now to welcome to this screen Regina Maroncelli, the president of the European Large Families Confederation. If you want, Regina, because it's to go to the conclusion of this Congress, but maybe you want to add something to this discussion with young people.
Yes, I have 2 points. One was about what you think about the lowering the voting age to end of the proxy vote. If you think this could help, and then I have a comment after that. If you give me 5 minutes afterwards.
Then, what do you think about to lower the voting age? To till age, I don't know which will be the limit, and about the proxy vote for parents to vote on behalf of their children. What do you think? For example, with 16 years old, you think it's a good age to vote?
So I think that's a hard question because it sort of really differs from the person. So like I would say I would be ready to vote at my age because I'm 16, but there are definitely people that are 16 and that like behave very childish. And so I think that's like a hard point because like everyone is different in their heads. So I would say I'm ready to vote and I would do it like the right way and correctly, but there's so many people that I know that would joke about it and would like make fun of it and just vote something. So I think that's like a really hard question because yeah, I don't really know how to answer that because it really depends. So I think like even with 18 there are people that sort of are joking, so you could sort of lower it to 16 because there are always childish people. So yeah, it really depends.
And the idea that parents vote on behalf of their children, minors? Difficult. Now, for me,
Yes.
I agree because, for example, in my country, I don't know in your country. For example, the vote has the same value. Depends where you are living. For example, if you are from a small city, you need less votes to get a seat in the parliament than in a big city like my city, Barcelona. You need a lot of votes. Then the votes don't have the same value depending where are you living. Why? Because if not, the small territories, the territories with not a big population won't be represented in the parliament. Then maybe this comparison is useful to understand why parents, maybe the vote also has to be valued, most valued than others, to have children represented, also the interest of children represented. I don't know if this idea you agree.
I don't know yet. I think that's a very interesting topic to discuss on our Congress. So
Yes.
we can discuss and then I can answer you what do we think about it.
Perfect. Then thank you very much to all of you. We have to go to the conclusion of this Congress. I don't know if you want to add something more before finish this discussion. Then thank you, Tietje, thank you, Maya, thank you, Ramon. And I invite all of you to take part in these activities that in ELFAC we want to continue with young people to discuss about these questions of your future. Thank you. And
thank you so much.
Then we are going now to the conclusion of this conference, of this Congress, and I would like to give the floor to Regina Maroncelli to say goodbye to the participants and maybe to conclude the topics we have been discussing. I think there are very interesting topics. The problems of housing, I think what we want, the problem of the stability, financial stability of young people, the question of the representation of the minors in the political system. I think this is very interesting in an Asian Europe. Then, Regina, we have a lot of things to work also in the European network of family municipalities, how to promote policies to help to improve all these questions and to improve our society to be more family friendly.
Yes, I hope that the connection will support me. So I hope the connection will support me because I see that it has got some problems. But can you hear me?
Yes, yeah. Perfect. Yes.
Can you? Okay, good. I think so. This Congress was thought to talk with municipalities about very important and fundamental general topics, and I think they can go out from this meeting with some interesting takeaways regarding people, young people, and how to attract and keep them. What we heard from the children, for the kids, well, for the young people, that I should not call them children, is that they are, in a way, they are scared. They are worried about the future. They have lived this terrible crisis, and now they don't want to suffer that much anymore. At least these are the problems now here in Europe. So what we ask a municipality, if they want to be family friendly, attractive, and retain young people, is to be supportive. They have to offer the inhabitants a supportive, welcoming, and really positive environment, which means help in their worried, for example, in housing, in work-life balance, in the quality education and services. This probably means a lot of money from municipalities, especially concerning housing. But as Luciano Malfer always says, tell us about family-friendly municipality and the certification, is not matter of money, but first of all is a matter of political commitment. So a municipality has to find out what is its priority, and if it wants to become a family-friendly one, has to improve some services, which is not only nice parks and nice bike routes, but also services for younger people. This is a challenge, of course. Maybe we should ask, we should start advocating at a European level, and I think we will do it as a network. We will start to ask the European Commission to have a special regard for local policies under this point of view. We are creating, anyway, I think that in this time of uncertainty and difficulties and crisis, local communities, local territories are the closest answer to people, to families, to young people, and they can do something. At least they can show they care, which I think would give trust, and maybe would reduce a bit the fear of the future that many children, many young people still live. And I'm afraid that those results about mental health tell us that this generation is really on the edge. So we really have to create a supportive, welcoming and caring environment, starting bottom up from local municipalities. And this is what is the European Network of Family-Friendly Municipalities stands for. Thank you, Raul, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. And thank you, all participants, the speakers, and municipalities, members of the network, or not members interested to improve their family policies. We'll be organizing new events in the short term. Please stay tuned on our website about the news of the next events. I know the next convention will be the biggest event of the next year, will be at the beginning of the next year. We'll have the fourth convention of family-friendly municipalities to share good practices and to learn from each other. And thank you, and see you again next time. Goodbye.